The fire is already out, but she's still burning. 3 days after the walls fell, she can taste ash every time she swallows. Not because the smoke is near. Because it's inside her now. She stands barefoot on Spartan stone, wearing a tunic that isn't hers. Her own was taken the same way her city was taken. Efficiently. Quietly. Completely. A week ago, she was somebody. A respected wife. A mother. A woman with a name that opened doors. Now she's standing with 31 other Athenian women, counted like inventory on a march. And the worst part is, nobody is shouting anymore. No chaos. No blood-slick streets. Just order. That's when she understands the terrifying truth. Sparta doesn't do rage. Sparta does systems. From the shadows, Spartan women watch like buyers at an auction. Not sympathetic. Not cruel. Evaluating. Then a man in a crimson cloak steps forward and speaks like he's reading a law, not ending lives. You are no longer wives. You are no longer mothers. You are now property of the Lacedaemonian state. Not slaves, he clarifies, almost as if that would be comforting. Because slaves offer labor. You, he says, have a different value. And then he drops the word that makes her stomach turn to ice. Breeding. Tonight they'll be fed. Housed. Examined. Categorized. Tomorrow they'll be distributed. Some to households. Some to temples. Some to the cryptia. She doesn't even fully know what that means yet. Only that the Spartan saying is true. If Sparta wants you alive, it's not mercy. It's because they've found a use for you. And as the door closes behind her, she realizes something even worse than captivity. In Sparta, survival isn't the opposite of horror. It's just the beginning of it. Tomorrow isn't the scary part. It's what they do tonight, before you're even assigned. A woman enters with a wax tablet and hands that don't hesitate. No comfort. No explanation. Just a gesture toward the stone table. Remove it. Melina's fingers don't want to move. But she's already learned the Spartan rule. Refusing doesn't stop the machine. It just makes you the machine's lesson. The exam isn't violent. That's what makes it worse. Teeth checked like livestock. Hips measured. Skin pinched and assessed. Questions delivered like inventory. How old were you when you first bled? How many pregnancies? Did your children survive the first year? Any sickness in the family? Melina answers because she can hear other women crying through the walls. And she understands what those cries mean. Somebody resisted. The examiner makes marks on the tablet, short, coded scratches. No names. No humanity. Just categories. Then the woman finally speaks, almost kindly, as if offering advice before a storm. Rest tonight. You'll need strength for what comes next. Strength. Not courage. Not hope. Strength, like you'd tell an animal before you load it onto a cart. And that's when the realization hits Melina like a second capture. This isn't revenge. This is administration. Athens told stories about Spartans like they were monsters. She used to think that was propaganda. But monsters are messy. Monsters are emotional. Sparta is colder than that. Sparta is trained. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, her body won't belong to a man. It won't even belong to a household. It will belong to a policy. Because the assignment isn't punishment. It's a solution. A solution Sparta refined for centuries, quietly, while the rest of Greece praised their discipline, their honor, their heroism. And now Melina is about to learn what that heroism was built on. Not shields. Not spears. Women. And the first name she hears, whispered by another captive like a curse, makes her blood go cold. The Ephos decide. Because once the Ephos decide, you don't get a life. You get a function. If you're still thinking, surely this is exaggerated good. That doubt is exactly what protected Sparta for centuries. Because the truth wasn't hidden by walls. It was hidden by stories. Sparta's officials don't yell. They don't threaten. They file. They measure. They allocate. And the next morning, Melina learns what allocation really means. She's marched back into the courtyard. The Spartan women are there again, still watching, still silent, only now they're holding lists. 8 women here. 8 women there. Like someone dividing rations. A man appears, not the crimson-cloaked speaker this time, but a different one. Younger. Sharper. He doesn't look at their faces. He reads outcomes. Household duty. Temple assignment. Cryptia. Each word is a door closing. When he says Cryptia, a woman near Melina makes a sound she tries to swallow. It comes out anyway, raw, broken, like her body knows before her mind admits it. Melina's name is called. Not Melina, of course. Not the name her mother whispered when she was a child. Just a designation. A mark from a wax tablet turned into a sentence. She's pulled aside and led down a corridor that smells like clean water and stone. The calm is unbearable. It feels like walking into a place where screaming has been banned. Inside, a Spartan woman waits. Athletic. Composed. Maybe 30. She speaks with the flat certainty of someone reciting weather. You've been placed in a household. Melina exhales without meaning to. It's not relief exactly, more like the moment you learn the knife won't be your throat, yet. What does that mean? She asks. The Spartan woman blinks once, like the question is strange. It means you will produce children. Melina feels her stomach drop. The woman continues, almost instructional. You will be given to a citizen as a secondary wife. You will be kept healthy, fed properly, monitored. Your children will belong to Sparta. Melina's voice is thin. And if I refuse? For the first time, the woman's expression shifts. Not anger. Pity. The kind that says, you don't understand what you're even asking. Then you go to the Cryptia, she says. For training. Melina's skin goes cold. Training for what? The Spartan woman doesn't use graphic words. She doesn't have to. To break resistance, she says. To learn what bodies can endure. And then, like she's offering a simple choice between two doors, she adds. Most don't survive. Melina's mouth goes dry. This is when it hits her. Sparta has built a system where even mercy is weaponized. Household duty isn't kindness. It's a softer harness. Because now she understands the real rule. In Sparta, you don't get punished for who you are. You get used for what you can produce. And right as she's trying not to shake, the Spartan woman says the next line. Quietly, almost casually. Tonight, you meet the man who owns your future. Here's what nobody tells you about Sparta. The first violation isn't physical. It's linguistic. Because the moment they say, he owns your future, your mind starts doing something desperate. It starts negotiating with reality. Maybe he'll be old. Maybe he'll be kinder than the others. Maybe if I'm useful, I'll be left alone. That's how the system wins, by teaching you to bargain with your own erosion. They bring her through a narrow street where everything is too tidy. No art. No color. No music. Just stone, law, and bodies that move like they've been trained not to hesitate. The house is smaller than hers in Athens. But it feels heavier. A man is waiting in the courtyard. Mid-30s. Lean. Scarred. Not drunk. Not excited. Not even cruel-looking. Worse. He looks practical. He doesn't greet her like a person. He studies her like a solution. Then he finally speaks. You were the wife of Hippocrates. Her throat tightens at her husband's name. She hasn't heard it spoken here. Not like that. Not without hate. I faced him, the Spartan says. He fought well. That tiny acknowledgement almost breaks her. Because it drags her old life into this new one like a corpse being reburied. He circles the conversation carefully, like a soldier approaching a trap. You understand why you're here. Melina forces her voice to work. To produce heirs. He nods once, satisfied. Like she passed a test. There are rules, he says. In my household, you will be fed. You will be housed. You will not be harmed unnecessarily. Unnecessarily. The word is so casual it makes her want to laugh and vomit at the same time. He steps closer, not to intimidate, but to clarify the arrangement like a contract. You will cooperate. You will conceive. If you do, you will be treated adequately. Adequately. He turns his head slightly, as if listening for someone behind the walls, then lowers his voice. And if you don't, Sparta will reassign you. Melina hears the unspoken ending. Cryptia. Training. Bodies can endure. She looks at his face, this man who might be less sadistic than others, and realizes the trap. His decency doesn't save her. It just makes the cage quieter. He gestures toward a doorway. A room is prepared. Tonight we begin. Tonight. That one word turns her legs weak. She walks into the house and feels the strangest thing. Not hope, not relief. A new kind of fear. Because if this man isn't a monster, then what Sparta is doing isn't about monsters at all. It's about normal men, inside a system that makes normal cruelty feel like duty. And just before the household women close the door behind her, she hears a sentence whispered by one of them, barely audible, like contraband truth. Pray you conceive quickly, because the Ephors don't tolerate wasted wombs. A wasted womb. That's what she is if she doesn't get pregnant fast enough. Not a grieving mother. Not a captured wife. Not even a person who can suffer. Just a resource failing to produce. The first weeks pass in a blur of controlled routines. At night, he comes. It's not romance. Not tenderness. It's procedure. He doesn't speak much. He finishes. He leaves. And Melina lies in the dark staring at the ceiling, learning the sick math of Sparta. If she conceives, she lives. If she doesn't, she becomes a lesson. But the day is where the real terror grows. Because daytime in a household means she's visible. And visibility in Sparta attracts attention. Spartan women move around her with practiced authority. They aren't mean. They aren't kind. They're something worse, aligned. As if every woman here has already been trained to believe this is normal. Then, one afternoon, the man surprises her. He talks. Not about her body. About warfare. About tactics. About cavalry. About her husband, Hippocrates, how he positioned men, how he read terrain. Melina feels her pulse spike. Because for a second, the conversation almost sounds like Athens. Almost like her old life. And then the Spartan says something that makes her realize why he's speaking at all. Sparta is strong, he murmurs, but we are shrinking. Melina freezes. A Spartan admitting weakness is like watching stone crack. He looks at her as if she's the only safe place to put that thought. Our sons die in training, he says. Our men die in war. And we don't replace them fast enough. Now it clicks. This isn't only cruelty. It's panic wrapped in policy. She's not here because Sparta hates her. She's here because Sparta needs bodies it can't grow fast enough. And then, like fate timing itself to her understanding, she's summoned. Not by him. By the Ephors. 2 young men escort her through the streets. They don't touch her. They don't need to. Their silence says everything. You are already owned. The Ephors chamber is plain. Functional. 5 seats. 4 men present. 1 empty chair like a missing tooth. An older Ephor speaks first. You have not conceived. The sentence lands like a hammer. Melina forces her voice steady. I have conceived before. I will again. Another Ephor leans forward. Sparta allows 6 months for adjustment. 6 months. Melina does the counting in her head even as her stomach twists. 3 months are already gone. And then the older Ephor adds the line that isn't a threat, but feels like a death warrant. If you remain unproductive, your assignment will change. Melina can't stop the question. To what? A pause. Not out of hesitation, out of precision. To a context where resistance is corrected. Cryptia. She's about to speak when the Ephor continues, almost casually. There is also a petition. Melina's mouth dries. A petition? A citizen requests access to you. Her heart starts pounding. The Ephor's tone stays flat, administrative. He requests 1 night. He has specified acts that may damage your future breeding potential. Melina feels her vision tighten. Who? The Ephors exchange a look, like they're checking whether to say the name. Then the older one does. Lysandros. Captain of the Cryptia. The room tilts. Because now she understands the truth behind the whole choice they're offering. Sparta is not asking what she wants. Sparta is testing what she'll sacrifice to survive. And the Ephor finally says it, the trap disguised as mercy. You may accept the petition, or refuse and return to your household under intensified expectation. Melina stares at the empty chair, then back at the Ephors. Either way, she's being crushed. But one option keeps her in a house. The other puts her in the hands of the man who trains others to break people. She swallows hard. I refuse, she says. The Ephor nods once, like a scribe checking a box. Then conceive, he replies. Before Sparta decides for you. And as they escort her out, Melina realizes something terrifying. She has been given 3 months to do the impossible. Convince her own body to save her life. 3 months. That's not a deadline. That's an execution date with paperwork. That night, when her husband enters the room, Melina doesn't lie still. She forces herself to move. To respond. To perform something that looks like desire. Not because she wants him. Because she wants to live. And the sickest part is how fast the human mind adapts. After, he doesn't leave immediately. He sits. In the dark. Like a man who's done what he's required to do, and still feels something missing. You went to the Ephesus, he says. Melina doesn't pretend. Yes. His jaw tightens. They told you about Lysandros. The name is poison in the air. She watches him carefully. Why does he want me? A pause. Then the Spartan says something that makes her blood run cold for an entirely different reason. Because you're foreign, he murmurs. And because he can. He looks away, like even saying it tastes bad. For him, he adds, you're not a woman. You're a place he can go, where there are no consequences. Melina grips the blanket so hard her fingers ache. And you? She asks before she can stop herself. What am I to you? He doesn't answer right away. That silence is dangerous. Because if she becomes anything more than use, the system will smell it. Finally, he says, you are the mother of the heirs I don't have. It's honest. It's cold. But his voice doesn't match his words. There's something else under it, annoyance, tension, almost protectiveness. Conceive, he says quietly. If you don't, even I can't keep them from taking you. Even I. So he has some power. Melina stores that away like a knife she might need later. Days pass. Then weeks. Her body becomes a battleground she can't command. She counts cycles. She listens to every ache. Every change. Every false hope. Meanwhile, the shadow stays close. She sees Lysandros once at the edge of the marketplace. Not approaching. Not speaking. Just watching. Like a man staring at a locked door he knows will eventually open. The Spartan women notice too. One of them leans toward Melina, barely moving her lips. He petitions for what he wants, she whispers. And the Ephors call it order. Melina's stomach twists. Has he? The woman's eyes flicker away. There was a woman last year, she says. Household duty. Like you. Melina's breath catches. What happened? The woman's voice drops even lower. She came back quiet. Then she died. A pause. Some said she was lucky. Lucky. In Sparta, dying can be considered luck. That night, Melina doesn't sleep. Not because she's scared of pain. Because she's scared of what fear is making her willing to do. She starts thinking like Sparta thinks. How do you avoid becoming prey? You become valuable. Not emotionally. Not morally. Administratively. She needs something Sparta respects more than Lysandros' appetite. She needs proof. A pregnancy. 2 weeks later, the bleeding doesn't come. Melina tries not to hope. Hope is dangerous because it makes you careless. But her body feels different, heavy in a way she recognizes from years ago. She waits. 3 days. 5 days. Still nothing. Her hands shake as she reports to the household physician. The exam is quick practiced. Then the physician nods once. Pregnant. The word hits Melina like air after drowning. For a moment, she can't speak. Because she understands what this means in Sparta. Her life just became harder and safer. That night the Spartan man returns, and for the first time his control cracks. You did it, he says. Not joy. Not love. Relief. He exhales like he's been holding his breath for months. Melina watches him, and a terrifying thought forms. If she can make a Spartan warrior feel something for her safety, then maybe she can make him do more than object. Maybe she can make him protect her. Maybe she can make him break Sparta's rules. Not with a sword, but with attachment. And the next morning, word reaches her before the Ephors even send the message. Lysandros has been denied. For now. But as Melina holds her stomach that evening, she hears the truth whispered from a servant woman who has seen too much. Pregnancy delays him. A pause. It doesn't stop him. Pregnancy doesn't stop him. It just turns her into something Lysandros wants, later. And now Melina understands the real horror of Sparta. Even safety has an expiration date. The Ephors record the pregnancy like it's grain stored for winter. A number. A timeline. A projected outcome. Melina is fed better. Watched more closely. Not cared for, maintained. Because the child isn't her child in Spartan terms. It's a future soldier. And she learns that on the day the older women enter her room and say, matter-of-factly, when he's born, elders will inspect him.
Melina's stomach tightens. Inspect. They don't flinch.
If he's strong, he's registered. If not, he's exposed.
Exposed.
A clean word for something savage. Thrown away like a cracked tool. Melina tries to picture it and her mind refuses. Not because she doesn't believe it. Because believing it would tear her apart.
Weeks turn into months.
She grows heavy.
Slow.
And with every kick from the baby, a new fear kicks back. What if he's born too small? What if his leg bends the wrong way? What if he cries wrong? Because in Sparta, wrong is fatal.
Then the day comes. The birth is long. Brutal.
Spartan midwives work like they're repairing a machine, not bringing a life into the world. Melina screams once, then bites down hard enough to taste blood.
Not because she's brave.
Because she's learned Spartan eyes are always watching, measuring weakness.
The baby arrives. A boy.
For half a second she feels something she hasn't felt since Athens.
Joy.
Then it's ripped away by the sound of the midwife's voice.
Healthy for now. For now.
3 days later, the inspection happens. The elder men come into the house like judges of existence. They take the baby from her arms before her fingers can even loosen. Melina stands across the room, hands empty, chest aching with milk and panic. They bend the child's limbs. Press his ribs.
Check his mouth. Listen to his lungs.
He wails red-faced, furious at the world. And the elders don't soften.
They don't apologize.
They are deciding whether he deserves to exist. Melina glances at the Spartan man beside her.
He's still. Controlled.
But she sees it, just barely. His fingers curl and uncurl once, like he wants to fight the room and knows he can't. The elders confer. Silence stretches until it becomes torture. Finally, the oldest elder looks up.
Acceptable. One word.
Melina almost collapses. She wants to snatch her baby back and run.
But she doesn't.
Because Sparta has changed what winning looks like. Winning is not escaping. Winning is getting to hold your baby one more day. They name him with a Spartan name, not hers. And as she nurses him that night, the Spartan man speaks softly, almost to himself. He will belong to Sparta. Melina looks down at her son's tiny hand gripping her finger.
Yes, she whispers.
And that's why I have to be careful. Because this child isn't just her shield.
He's also her leash. The more she gives Sparta what it wants, sons,
the more Sparta invests in keeping her around. But also, the deeper she's trapped. And that's when she makes the most dangerous decision of her life. She won't just survive Sparta. She will learn to control the one thing Sparta never trained its warriors to defend against.
Human connection.
She will become more than a womb to that Spartan man.
More than a tool.
She will become a weakness he can't afford to lose. Because if she can make him need her, then when Lysandros comes back,
and he will,
she won't be facing him alone.
The nights don't change,
but the days start to. Because when a Spartan man begins returning home early, people notice. And in Sparta, being noticed is how you die socially, before you die physically. He starts asking her questions he shouldn't care about. Not just about Athens. About why Athens works. How do you live with so many voices? He asks one afternoon, almost irritated by the idea. Doesn't it weaken you? Melina watches him carefully. It makes us messy.
Not weak.
He scoffs, but it's quieter than before. Like he's not scoffing at her. He's scoffing at the part of himself that's curious. She offers him small things. Controlled things. A story about the agora, where arguments happen in public and nobody gets whipped for asking why. A memory of music drifting out of a courtyard. The idea that a man can be more than a blade. She doesn't sell it like rebellion. She sells it like oxygen. And slowly, the Spartan man starts breathing. Then, one night, after the functional act is done, he doesn't leave. He lies on his back and stares into the dark. I killed a helot when I was 18, he says.
Melina's heart tightens.
She doesn't respond too quickly. She doesn't judge. Judgment would make him retreat. He keeps talking anyway, like something broke open. He looked at me like I was trapped, the Spartan whispers. Like I was the one in chains. Melina's voice is quiet. And were you?
A long pause.
Yes, he admits. We all are. That's the crack. Not big. Not dramatic. But a crack is all water needs. From that night forward, he tells her things he would never tell a Spartan. About the boy in the agoge who couldn't stop crying and disappeared. About his first wife dying in childbirth while the midwives chose the baby over her. About how the word honor in Sparta often means obedience. Melina listens, and in her silence she becomes something impossible. A foreign woman who isn't just a body.
A place where a Spartan can be human.
And that makes her dangerous. Because it also makes him dangerous. The whispers start in the mess halls. The sideways looks in the training yards. He fights well, but not recklessly.
He survives.
And survival in Sparta can look suspiciously like cowardice. One afternoon a household woman rushes in, face tight. Captain Lysandros was seen near the street, she whispers. Melina's blood goes cold.
Why? The woman swallows.
They say he's angry the petition was denied. Melina's hand goes to her son, instinctively pulling him close. That night, the Spartan man returns with his expression locked down. They're watching me, he says quietly. And they're watching you.
Melina meets his eyes. Because you come home.
He doesn't deny it. They think I've become attached, he says like it's a crime. Melina's voice is steady, but her chest is tight. Have you? He looks at her for a long moment. And in that moment, the entire Spartan system is holding its breath. Because if he says yes, even with his eyes, then she is no longer just an asset. She is a liability. He finally speaks, and the words are careful, but the truth bleeds through anyway. If you disappear, he says, I lose more than an heir. Melina feels a chill, not from fear.
From understanding. She got what she wanted. He needs her.
But that means Sparta has a new lever to pull. Because now Lysandros doesn't just want her body. He can use her to punish the man who hesitated. To correct a Spartan who started breathing. And as if the universe wants to prove her right, a message arrives the next day. The Ephos have received another petition. And this time, they're not asking politely.